Welcome to Interior Analysis. I'm Evan Westman,
I'm Jelani Kelly.
I'm David Jones.
and today we are talking about The Amazing Spider-Man. Yeah, so this kind of feels like a big episode just because, we have talked about this so much. I feel like this and Community are, the most mentioned things on other episodes, and probably the Raimi trilogy in, conversation with this. And for once, I'm leading a superhero episode.
I did not realize this was your first time with that.
I think it is, unless we want to count Infinity War and Endgame back when you weren't technically a co-host yet, but
Nah, everybody led those.
yeah.
It was
Well, I
amazing
also
really awesome.
you were a guest on those for a reason, because it's your thing. Yeah, I was afraid this would not hold up because I hadn't seen it in probably I want to say 5 years, probably. It'd been a while. It's not perfect, but I definitely still love this. We'll see if the same is true of 2. I'm a little worried about 2, that it won't hold up as well. Also, please help me to not bring up the Raimi trilogy too much on this. I'm gonna be tempted. We'll probably have to bring it up at some point, but
I'm gonna encourage it.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring it up too.
yeah. Well, we have 3 very long episodes on Patreon about the Raimi trilogy. Just me and Jelani.
I wasn't able to speak my opinion on, so this will be my chance.
We'll try to give you some space for that, because I am very interested to hear your opinions, because I pretty much know where Jelani's at in terms of Spider-Man, because we have talked about it a lot, but I'm curious to hear where you're at, David. So yeah, we've all seen this before. Yeah, so what are some initial thoughts from you guys, though, revisiting it?
I like this movie more than I remember.
Damn right.
I was originally, and I probably shouldn't admit this, but I was just gonna keep it on while I was doing something else, and then I just couldn't find myself. I kept locking eyes with the movie, and I was like, nah, I gotta sit down and just rewatch all of this. I don't even remember it being 2 hours, to be honest. I didn't remember it being that long. There's probably bias in that, but that's all I'm gonna start with.
I had a very opposite experience with this film.
Oh no.
No.
This is good. This is good though. We need
No,
we need
yeah.
counter opinions, but
Go ahead.
No, it's good. Yeah, everyone's at the table here. But yeah, I'd seen this, I think, twice before. I know for sure I saw it in theaters, and then I want to say I bought the DVD and watched it at least once. And I remember really liking it as a kid, and I didn't get the hate that was given, other than the obvious, he's not the Peterisms that we're used to. But as I rewatched it this time, and I watched it with my sister, it was her first time watching it, and we were just watching it, and I was just taking my mental notes. But then when it was over, I asked her, I was like, so what did you think? And she said, it kind of dragged a little. And I was like, yeah, I felt that. And I think it might be the first act. I'm not sure what specifically, but I think something about it just feels a little long. I feel like you can feel that 2 hour 15. And if they took it back 20, 30 minutes, it would be so much better of a ride.
it is definitely not the tightest movie structurally. And maybe we can get into why, because I kind of made a topic for that, but I agree that there's definitely some plot threads that they really just drop, and we'll get into that, but that is definitely a fair criticism, I would say, as much as I love it.
You think that if they cut out all the mumbling and stuttering, that this would be an hour and a half?
All the times he's like, I don't know if you wanna, but then we could also, but if you wanna, and then she's like, oh, so we could, and he's like, oh, you would,
or we could do something else, or no, nah.
Yeah, totally.
I feel like that part, it gets a little aggressively stuttery. The rest of it, I'm okay
for
with.
sure.
That scene
I was like,
a
whoa,
little too much.
What's going on here?
I love Andrew Garfield so much. He's I've been seeing him in a couple other things. Somebody just an hour ago was telling me, yo, you should go watch Tick, Tick, Boom. And I was like, I don't like Rent, but Andrew
I've been
Garfield.
Seeing ads.
That's supposed to be really good.
I've been hearing
really,
so
really
many good things, but I've heard Rent, I've never seen Rent, and I've heard it's kind of trash. So
It's a musical?
Yeah, Tick, Tick, Boom is. That's the truth, though. I will say, he's the best actor to ever play Spider-Man, hands down.
Oh, actor. Got it. I just want to mention that scene where Flash apologizes after Uncle Ben gets clapped. Still gets me, though. Like that. I don't know what it is about that scene. But it made me want to see more Flash in that universe because it shows he's not. He's three dimensional.
Yeah, he's not a one note just bully.
I
Now
like
the Flash
that
from the
scene.
Raimi one would have probably kicked Peter's butt that day anyway. I wouldn't want to fight me neither.
I was just gonna say that.
I liked that scene, but I don't get at the end why he's all like, Parker, like jumps all on him, and then he's like, oh, the shirt, yeah, he's good with the ladies. See you later.
Yeah.
I was like, what? When did this happen?
Yeah, I think it kind of jumps that. Like, I don't know if we're supposed to read them as friends. I feel like he's just that guy who's like wants to just get up in everyone's business. Like, he's just got such a needs to be dominant personality.
But
like,
also, Flash canonically is a fan of Spider-Man.
He
Or
is, yeah.
in the beginning, he is.
in
Yeah.
they
He's
did that
literally
in the
Stan.
trailer for No Way Home, where
Yeah.
I think it's the kid who plays Flash. He's like, oh yeah, I
Yeah.
respect Spider-Man, and then Peter walks in, he's like, what's up, dickwad? Like, I love that moment. Even though that movie's like, whatever.
I don't remember seeing this in theater, but I don't know why I wouldn't have. I think I did see the second one in theaters, and I don't remember loving that when I left.
I did not see this in theaters. I think I saw it like a little under a year after it came out. I got it out of the library, I think. I did see 2 in theaters, but we'll save that for when we talk about 2 next episode. The only Spider-Man movie I had seen before this was I'd seen the 2002 Raimi version, probably like 4 years before or something like that. And I immediately liked this better, even though I didn't at the time hate the Raimi movie yet. But I would say this remains my second favorite Spider-Man movie behind Spider-Verse. I feel pretty secure in saying that. Would I argue it as like objectively stronger than the Holland ones? I don't know, maybe. I'd probably have to revisit those, but I unapologetically like it better.
I'm gonna stand with you there. I'm not saying it's the best written movie to the Raimi Spider-Man 2 Fiends, but I still prefer this as like second, to be honest. The Tom Holland ones kind of make me want to watch all the other MCU movies, to be honest. So maybe No Way Home will change that, but we'll see.
We'll see. We'll see.
You said no.
It won't. No way. No way.
Uh,
That's the one thing that, like, as a Spider-Man fan, like, we have yet to have a Spider-Man story in the MCU. Like, Homecoming dabbled in it, but come on, Vulture. Like, who gives? No.
Yeah.
Give us, like, a real Spidey villain. He has the best catalog other than Batman. So it kind of sucks that he was given to the MCU and then we didn't get anything. And now it's his third movie.
Yeah. I mean, I still kind of lament that because I know 2 has its flaws. This has its flaws. But if The Amazing Spider-Man 3 were released today, I would go buy my tickets and see it in theaters.
I think it would make
Even with
more
what-
money today just because everyone would be so confused as to why it's getting big.
Yeah.
Even
They
with what they were
advertised it
talking
right.
about bringing Captain Stacy back as like a monster and shit.
Oh, please.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds
Yeah.
rough. I heard they were going to bring, I mean, spoilers for the second. I heard they were going to bring Gwen back in the third somehow, which I don't know. I mean, I like Emma Stone in this.
Spider-Gwen.
I don't know if I'm here for that. Just as like, I don't know, resurrecting characters is not something I'm a fan of.
You know what's crazy? I wouldn't consider myself a huge Spider-Man fan, but I also didn't know that Gwen Stacy died in the comics before that movie.
Really?
I didn't know that,
I
and
definitely
when
did.
I was like, "You gotta catch her, man." Oh, she's
Oh,
still
wow.
falling. Okay, cool. Spidey, you gotta. It's Emma Stone, and then broke Neck Mountain, and she died. Like I don't.
I was so steeped into the like YouTube niche film like content creators in 2012 that like when this got announced and it was like, yo, it's gonna be Gwen Stacy and not MJ, everyone was like, so how are they gonna kill her? Like, are we gonna do it? Because everyone knows
I
that's
didn't
the
see
big
it coming.
moment. Like, that's when Spidey is responsible for the love of his life dying, and it's such a cool moment. And that's like the one thing I'll give Amazing Spider-Man 2 when we get to it. Like, they got that, even if they had to like do a horrible job forcing everything in to make that moment happen. At least we saw that happen at some point in my life before I died.
It's one of the greatest 30 seconds of like any movie. I remember the first time watching that in theaters, like, I was like, he really could catch it, but I had no idea either. I was like, this is so split. Like, he could, and I'll be super here for that, but he really might not, and then he doesn't.
And it gets to the point where, like, she's fallen so long that, like, you're like, if he catches her, like, that bitch is gonna, like, you're kind of like, let her fall, she'll die.
No,
it gets bad.
David.
It gets bad because you're like, do you want to be paralyzed for life, or do you want to just flat out die? Yeah, you know what happens.
Oh.
I remember audibly gasping at that moment. Nobody wants to see Emma Stone fake die in a movie.
No.
Definitely not.
The moment still hits me, and the internet is just a collective asshole, because they have made so many jokes and memes about that death scene alone. It's like, y'all have no chill whatsoever.
Well, it is pretty memeable.
God damn it, David!
You gotta admit.
I'll admit that it is, but like, there's a line. There is a line, and that is.
Oh, come on. People meme 9/11. It's fine. That's a movie. Let's all calm down.
It's still across the line. It's still across the line. Like, you can't meme. Like, think about. I know that we're kind of off topic here, but kind of not. Like, imagine if they memed Uncle Aaron's death. Like, that is sinful if they've memed Uncle Aaron's death from Spider-Verse. I've never seen it memed, but it better not be. Like, you leave that alone. That is sacred.
Like, the way they shoot Gwen's death, it's kind of the slow-mo, it's kind of so memey. The close-up. Like, it's good, but it's good. It's so, like, CW angst. So I can see it hitting for, like, those teen years, but, like, it's memeable. It's a little soapy. It
still hits now, though.
It definitely hit her pretty hard.
God damn it!
All right. We're not talking about Amazing Spider-Man 2. That's not this episode. First topic, if we're good on that.
Yeah.
Okay, first topic. I wanted to go over the theme of, like, power responsibility. I've heard criticism of how Uncle Ben delivers that in this. I hear that, but also, like, I think this movie does just such a good job of actually exploring what it, like, with great power comes great responsibility means. I feel like this movie, in connection with the Dark Knight trilogy, kind of shaped my definition of what being a hero meant. And maybe it's because those were some of the first superhero movies I saw, and they were probably within, like, a year of each other. I think that I watched all this and the whole Dark Knight trilogy. But I feel like it just, it makes the idea of, like, what being Spider-Man means, what being a hero means, so much more accessible. As Uncle Ben says, like, if you can do something good, you should, even if it's, like, a small thing. And I think that's just an important thing to acknowledge in a theme like this, because, like, most of us are never going to have great power. But with this take on it, it's like we still have some level of responsibility. And I feel like it really goes out of its way to send that home, whereas the Raimi movies really just kind of leave it at the one line. And yeah, that one's more memorable. It's a lot cleaner, but I really stand by the way that this movie constructs this theme, because then it kind of extends into, like, I love how they make Peter's, like, kind of interests that he already has and the skills he already has. Like, he makes his web shooters, which one is just dope on its own, and then two, it kind of becomes part of the thematic conversation, I feel like, because he's been developing this skill. He, like, tinkers with stuff, and he, like, has that lock on his door that he invented. So without developing that skill, he could not be Spider-Man. And he thinks to do it and does. He, like, takes the skills that he has and uses them for good. Like, that to me is what Spider-Man represents.
I needed to see him at least skateboard once in the Spider-Man suit to utilize the skateboard. Oh wait, no, it breaks. Damn it.
When does it break?
The subway?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But he has it back, because he has it back later, after he breaks the backboard. He has it in that scene. So,
does he?
Yeah, maybe
he also has it in the Shout out Cosmonaut. The Levi's commercial scene. I don't know if that's after or before the subway.
What's the Levi's commercial scene?
Where he's in like the abandoned warehouse looking area. He's like swinging on the chains. It looks like a Gene ad.
Now that you're saying that, I do see that. That's a good call out, though. I do like that scene, but yeah, it is. It does kind of read like a Jeans ad now that you're saying that.
I like that he doesn't start off doing good, even though he was just told to do good right before Uncle Ben died. I feel like he realistically reacts to having his uncle murdered. Like, oh, someone killed my uncle, and I have the power to track him and seek vengeance. Instead of, oh, I'm going to start saving people now. No. And also, to critics of him going after the thief that killed his uncle, Tobey Maguire did the same exact shit. And he killed his man by scaring him off that building. He did it without touching him, but that man died because of him. So screw all of you that hate this movie because he went after the killer.
I honestly forget that he kills that guy in Spider-Man 2. Sorry, Spider-Man 1. But yeah, I agree. And like I understand the frustration. I was going to get into this later, but I think it's okay to bring it up now. Like, I understand the frustration with them dropping off the whole thing with him chasing after Chad Kroger.
Is that the actor's name or the thief's name?
He just looks like Chad Kroger, the guy who sings for Nickelback. So that's what I call him.
I was going to ask what the hell that name was.
If you look up Chad Kroger, it does kind of look like that dude.
Just sounds like a fake name.
Well, some people might wish for that, but oh well. Anyway, like I do like that he drops it off, and I was kind of thinking like there's that scene at the dinner table where, because I think up until the lizard attacks the bridge, like right after Peter goes to dinner at Gwen's house, I think up until that point he is just chasing after the guy. Like, he's not being a crime fighter yet. He's not trying to help people. I kind of forgot this moment, but as I was watching it this time, I saw, like, Captain Stacy calls him out. He's like, this guy is, like, driven by vengeance. And I feel like we don't really get a beat where that lands, but I was kind of reading it like maybe that actually gets to him. And he realizes, oh, maybe this isn't the best way for me to do this. And I was thinking a way that they maybe could have made that scene stronger is if... Because right after that, the lizard's attacking the bridge and Spider-Man goes to do that. I was thinking it would have been better, like a little bit better, if Captain Stacy maybe gets a call, like on his police radio or whatever, and they hear, yo, we've got this guy. He's got the star tattoo, so we know it's the guy. And then Peter goes to the bridge anyway. So that he's like kind of choosing, I'm going to help people instead of going after this guy. I think it actually is good. I really like that they do drop it off, but it does feel very random the way that it just kind of fizzles out. So I think it's a fair criticism people can make, and it's not the only like plot line that happens with. But I was thinking like there is kind of a thematic something there. They just didn't quite stick the landing with it. They didn't quite make it land the way I think it should have. I don't know if you guys have responses to that.
My main response is I don't mind the responsibility scene that much, especially because Peter calls him out and is like, it's kind of it's a stupid thing to say when your dad ran out on you. But the scene I like a lot with Uncle Ben that I think I was like, this is one scene that's not in the Raimi movie that like really is cool, was his response to like him showing off to Flash and like him telling him this is all about revenge. Like, what is this? Yeah. I was like, yeah, this is cool. I really like that. I thought that was a really nice touch. And Martin Sheen does an awesome job.
Oh, yeah. Martin Sheen's excellent as Uncle Ben.
To the Gene ad, I enjoyed the swinging as a kid, and I enjoyed it again this time. But yeah, it really did kind of feel out of place for some weird way. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't get that. But I also do question whether or not Peter really got that responsible in this movie because, like, he's a little reckless, and then at the end when she's like, don't make promises you can't keep, and then he's just like whispers in Gwen's ear and he's like, but those are the best ones. I'm like, oh god. Now you know that person just died, and you already know your uncle died. Like, you had just had 2 people die and this person you love, and you're just like, tee tee, let's roll the dice.
To be fair, it's kind of a dick move on Captain Stacy's part.
I get it though, it's your daughter.
There is a reason
I was gonna
behind
say
it.
I get that, but I was gonna say it's kind of a dick move to make someone promise to stay away from your daughter as your final word, and your spouse to promise to never remarry before you pass away. Why?
If that had life or death implications, it depends, because it's like that if that has life or death implications, like, because you know you're gonna die if you're with Spider-Man. Like, come on.
Well, so I wanted to bring this up too, because I don't know if this is the best reading of the scene, but I was thinking of it in a different context, because I did used to read that moment at the end where he's like, yeah, but those are the best kind. I was like, I don't know about that. This time I was thinking maybe this is too generous of a reading. I was thinking maybe, does he now see himself as responsible enough to both be in Gwen's life and keep her safe?
Well, he was proven to not be.
But not in this movie. I think in his mind, maybe that's where he's coming from. I don't know if there's not a ton of textual evidence to support that, so I could very well be wrong there. But I was thinking maybe that's his rationale there, is like, yeah, she'll be in danger, but also I can get better at being Spider-Man. I can keep her safe.
I mean, he did just save the city, so.
I also don't understand his rationale throughout the movie, where, like, he'll show everybody and their mother that he is Spider-Man, but he just can't tell Aunt May. Like, you'll show anybody. Like, you'd be like, you want me to take off the mask right now? Like, I'll do it. Like, he's so willing to take off the mask to tell anybody anything. Like, I think.
Okay, how many times does he actually do it though? I think
he
it's
takes
just
off.
I wrote it down.
This is a 2-hour-long movie, Evan, and 4 people find out that this dude's Spider-Man, and it's an origin story.
Emma, the kid on the bridge,
the villain, and the dad,
the lizard, and the dad, and the group of thugs when he first goes out to avenge Uncle Ben's death. When they say, "I've seen your face," them too, because he didn't have his mask at that point.
But he can't just tell Aunt May, and the whole thing with, like, so much of his issues with Aunt May and Uncle Ben could have been solved with communication. So, like, that could have been nice if they could have just, been like, hey, Aunt May, I'm coming home bruised every night because I'm Spider-Man. Then that would be a fine thing, but they don't do it. And then he brings eggs, and that's supposed to make up for it. I'm like, this is a stupid reference.
Like the eggs moment. You can keep going, but I want to return to the eggs at some point.
But that was my big question with the logic. I was like, okay, but, like, come on, just tell her. Everyone knows. Like, he went and had dinner with, like, her, like, QAnon father and just webbed her over at some point and was like, you know what, this is fine. Now I'm going to tell you a secret, and I'm Spider-Man. Like, really? What did she do to prove that she's loyal to you?
I want to get into that. I think she does prove that she is
because she makes up a little white lie in the lab because she's a horny teenager. Like, okay, this is your criminal identity.
Okay,
and your dad's the chief of police.
You really are not taking a generous reading of this statement. And that's okay. That's okay. These are good counterpoints, but I am going to fight back against them. So, a few moments I wanted to call out with this theme that I thought were, like, kind of indicative of an arc. One of my favorites is when Gwen says, "That's not your job," and Peter says, "Well, maybe it is." I feel like that is, like, the theme in a nutshell, is that he can do it, so he should. And that's why he, like, chooses to fight the lizard. Small moment, but I love it. And then the eggs at the end. I hear it if you say it's cheesy. Yeah, it's a little cheesy. But
it is dairy.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Eggs are not dairy.
Yeah,
wait. Right. I just like my eggs hatched. So, anyway. You know how people say, "How do you like your eggs?" Sometimes I'll be at a restaurant and be like, "How do you want your eggs?" I'll say hatched, but I'll settle for scrambled. I just
That
like
must
having
get all
fun
the
with
laughs.
that. It's gotten a couple reactions. I like doing it. It's fun.
Were they good reactions?
They're like, "Oh, okay. Well, we can't do that for you, but sorry, that was a totally useless tangent."
No, it wasn't. That was great.
God damn it.
Anyway, the eggs moment. I do like the eggs moment because I feel like it shows that he is like he's not just being responsible by being Spider-Man. Like he's being better for like his role in the family with Aunt May. Like he's because he didn't get the eggs before and now he does. I think it is a good thematic moment, even if it's a little bit corny. Yeah, I won't apologize for liking the theme of this. I don't think it's the greatest executed like portrayal of a theme. Like I don't think they develop it perfectly, but there are those few moments in there that I think are really solid, and I think it stays pretty thematically consistent. And I also just like I think the only movie that does this theme harder than this one is Kick-Ass, where it's like because I think they explicitly call out in that movie, no power means no responsibility, except that isn't true. I think that's the line. I maybe misquoted it, but I love that as a theme so much, and I feel like it makes Spider-Man read like as a character read so much differently to me. Where like as I'm watching this, I can feel Andrew Garfield like discovering or like Peter Parker discovering himself as like this is the intersection of like what my skills and passions are and what I can offer to like my community. I think that is just like the epitome of what Spider-Man can represent, and I love Spider-Verse. I don't think even Spider-Verse does that theme as well. Maybe that's not what everyone wants Spider-Man to represent for them. I will probably always love this movie for that. I'll hear criticisms and disagreements, so if you guys have them, go ahead and throw them out.
Yeah, I don't know. Peter. Let's start with Peter. I had to. Why is he skateboarding so much? Why?
It's cool.
What?
It's cool.
In 2012? What? No, this isn't 1996. Skateboarding was not the cool thing to do in 2012.
It remains cool.
Didn't they just add it to the Olympics, David?
Dude.
Yes.
Yeah.
It doesn't like make something cool.
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
It's still cool.
I'm
But,
sure
like,
it's fun, but
it's fun and it's cool. God damn it.
yeah, and you know what? Peter Parker isn't cool. Like that's the one thing Peter Parker isn't.
Why do people say that like Andrew Garfield being cool is a bad thing? And I never understand that.
Because this is another
Why?
thing. Because this is where I come in from the Peter that I know from the comics. Like Peter is a nerdy guy who has a best friend who's super cool, and he aspires to be like Harry in a lot of ways. The only thing that Harry doesn't have is Peter's smarts, and Harry kind of has a rocky relationship with his dad.
We're not going to talk about the Harry from 2. Not this time.
Yeah, I forgot he was even into until my friend was like,
Exactly.
yeah, I was like, well, he's in this franchise anyway. And Harry has that rocky relationship with his dad, and then his dad kind of favors Peter. Peter's like, well, I don't have a father figure. This is cool. I killed mine. So, yeah.
Peter the Dinosaur. That's terrific.
So when there isn't a Harry in this movie, he didn't have that. So he was already just kind of like, cool. And I was like, why are we splitting the time with him riding a skateboard and taking pictures? Like he could have just already been a photographer. Why does he have to be a skateboarding photographer? And like I think of the scene where the guy's like, no skateboarding, Parker, put it above your wheels above your head. And he's like, this high. And then he skateboards some more. I'm like, this is 5 seconds of screen time. I really didn't need to be in this movie. But 5 seconds of screen time adds up. And I feel like there's other moments where I'm just like, we don't need him on a skateboard. But that's besides the point. Then he becomes Spider-Man. I feel like his transition into Spider-Man, I don't know. I feel like the costume, I'm a big costume person when it comes to movies, which is why like specifically Eternal is not this movie. Eternals, the people are not in their costumes a lot and made me very mad. This, I don't mind him getting it kind of soon from him just starting his costume journey, but I kind of do wish there was more beats in between like his first draft to his final draft. Like they give it like a montage moment when it could have been like a cool character thing.
Raimi did the same thing though.
No, I feel like he has more drafts. Like he has like he makes his first outfit and then he does the ring. Then he gets his ass whooped. Yeah. And then he gets that's another thing. I don't like him naming himself. I like him being given the name. That's a whole different conversation.
I only remember the human spider and then the Raimi costume in those. Were there others?
No, but there's the beat. There's the beat between him like getting his ass whooped to him deciding he needs a better costume.
Oh.
Like this, it's like the start of the montage. It starts with his first costume and ends with the new costume.
They do that here though too, don't they? When he's hunting for Uncle Ben's killer, like he has the glasses.
He kind of evolves
and then,
it. He's like he gets in the room, spandex, everything spandex.
Yeah,
but that's a part of the montage.
I would say they still have the beat.
I just didn't like that it was a part of a montage. That's what I'm saying. I wish it had more time since they're giving time to
So what do we have him sewing and then Miranda Priestley?
No, but we have a character, maybe like a character moment. Like that's the thing. I just didn't get Peter or Spidey in this movie. Like I was like, I don't know what this dude wants. I don't know what he needs. He's just like mumbling his way through his life as he skateboards and now swings and now destroys things.
And that's what makes him relatable, David. Aren't we all human beings doing the same exact shit daily?
I don't think so, but and I didn't mind his interaction with the one criminal in the car where he has like his fun little quip about knives and oh my god, not small knives. But I didn't mind it because it showed his recklessness. Like he was kind of abusing power. Like did he really have to spray him at his balls and pretend to sneeze to do it? Like he's a little sadistic in that way.
What are you, a cop?
Yeah, and really? He's like, "What, I look like a cop?" And he just like, so I enjoyed that because that like was the character they were setting up. That Martin Sheen's like, "Yo, you can't be like this. Like, please, just be a better person." So I liked that, but I don't know. I didn't feel like he was that Spider-Man-y. Like I felt like you could have put any costume on this dude, and I could have like took him at any kind of superhero. Like I didn't feel the Spider-Man vibes.
Do you at least enjoy, like, if he... Let's just, like, separate him from other versions of the character. Do you think he's a compelling protagonist? Because that's my argument, is that he's a compelling protagonist. Do you disagree? No. Okay, why do you disagree?
I felt like he was just very passive and things were being thrown at him. Like, I thought Gwen Stacy was a much more interesting character in the scenes and like actively. I don't know why. And maybe
she's definitely compelling, but like I don't think necessarily more or less than him.
Yeah, for some reason I was more drawn into her, and I don't know if it's like MJ has such little character in the Raimi trilogy that it was refreshing seeing Gwen Stacy have like a character and like once and just she was active. Like she wasn't just there to be a damsel in distress, but I really wanted to like him and like get into like his story and follow along, but I was just like, I don't know. And I don't want to give it to the whole like backstory with the dad and the flashback, but I feel like that really hurt it for me. Like that's I think fair. If you took out the
we all agree about that.
Yeah, like I think if you took out like the dad storyline and just let it be like just get rid of it, like it's just muddying the waters, then I would be fine because you had the unsolved mystery. They use it as a way for him to meet Gwen Stacy, but Peter's just naturally gifted in science, so they could have went 1,000 different ways to have him meet Gwen Stacy in Oscorp. It also would have given him more of a reason to be with Oscorp. I also wasn't the biggest fan of the villain. I thought like we have one huge
not great.
Yeah, like we have one huge scene where the villain's like, I am the villain. He has like his villain scene where he's like, yes, I've decided I am evil. And like 2 scenes before that, he's like armless and one hand in a coffee mug. Like, you're solving algorithms. And like Peter's like, yeah, but here's the better one. And he's so, like, not active in the story, and then he's like, I'm the villain. And I'm like, wow. And they have moments that are, like, reminiscent to the Raimi. Like, they have certain, like, shots where they have, like, the villain talk to himself. And I'm like,
Yeah.
this is walking this line that I don't understand right now. I'm not sure how to feel.
I think we're in agreement with most of that. Yeah.
I still have not heard you give an argument for why Peter is not a compelling protagonist, though. I'll agree with you on the other stuff. The dad stuff, I'm super on board with that. The lizard, not a great villain.
The only thing is, like, there isn't a story really there, or the character there for that story active enough as a protagonist. Like, if there's no antagonist, that's good enough for me. And the story that they're setting up through flashbacks and backstory has bored me. The character that you're presenting, that's supposed to be the vehicle through all of this, I'm not caring for. And whatever they do, I'm not really going to care that much for. And what they're doing, it wasn't that compelling. It was a story I've seen before, and I felt like it just wasn't as refined. Like, I don't need to see him skateboard. I don't need to see him swing. I don't need to see these weird kind of moments. Like, the moment on the train where he kicks that dude's butt is like, okay. The Flash moment is fine, but that's really the Martin Sheen moment that I enjoy.
You're talking when he breaks the backboard?
Yeah. And, like, that whole thing where it's like, that's another thing. Like, the girl's poster got just destroyed with a huge blot of paint, and he saunters over like a minute later after it's already been destroyed, and lifts up the empty bucket and goes, all right? Like, as if he just fixed the issue, like he solved the solution. He's like, yeah, I just fixed your poster.
Why are they painting in the gym to begin with?
I don't think that's the undertone.
Why are they painting
that's
in
not
the gym?
that's the practicality of it, though. Like, it's just like,
well, yeah, but
all
I
he
think
did
that's
was
why
lift up the
he's
bucket,
like
bro.
he like gets back at Flash, is like
Well, that's his ego.
trying to do her a solid. Maybe it's both. Maybe
that's
it's both.
revenge.
It's an active basketball practice. Why are they painting in the gym?
Yeah, that's another.
Spacing issues.
Who knows?
No.
It's a little convenient. I'll give you that. It's convenient.
And then the Gwen stuff, I don't mind relationships, especially if they're like, I think their chemistry was good. I don't know if it's the way he's written. I don't know if it's the way they're written together, but their flirting, their intimacy feels very weird. Like, I don't feel as into. I remember as a teenager being like, oh my God, these people are in love. And like, this time around I was like, what? Like, this is just, this is wild. But
there was less time with like their relationship than I remember. There actually are not many scenes with it.
Right? Same here, because like I was shocked by how cool she was with the whole Spider-Man thing. Like, there wasn't a lot to prepare her for the Spider-Man like drop that was like, oh my God, you're Spider-Man. But she was like, I'm okay with that. Like, that's awesome. Let's still be together. Like, I don't care about the implications this has on my life or my family's life. Like, yeah, because it wasn't smart, but it was a great move. And it goes back to the thing she says earlier when he stood up for the person at lunch. And I'm like, you're reckless too, Gwen. You're both a little reckless.
Yeah, well, like, I think that speaks well to both of them. Like, they're both, like,
yeah,
they both have heroic qualities. They both, like, they do deserve each other. I think they're good. I think they could have done better with setting up their relationship here. I won't argue with that, but I think their chemistry's good. And I think they textually... Like, there are textual examples of showing them having, like, a similar worldview. Like, you can see how they jam with you. I think there's a decent amount done there. There could have been more, but I think they do the work.
Only part I didn't believe, probably the only part, I'm sure Dave will correct me. When Uncle Ben says he's got you on his computer, and then she's just over there, like, giggling like a schoolgirl, it's like, what?
Right, as if that's cute.
Yeah,
what?
This
weirdo you've barely had 2 conversations with, know about, but have barely had 2 conversations with. His uncle just came. First of all, he just broke a backboard. Okay, cool. And
there is definitely not enough reaction to him breaking the backboard. Sorry to interrupt, but there is not. Keep going.
No. And his uncle comes at the school, bails him out, and then is like, hey, this weirdo's got you on his computer. And then she just starts giggling. I'm like, nobody would react like that. Okay, that just didn't make sense to me.
Yeah, there was not enough of a raised eyebrow there, I think.
And then they he doesn't even ask her out. I don't know what follows that scene.
Yeah,
they end up getting a
I'm
date.
so busy right now. Right? Oh, me too. I'm so busy.
He didn't even ask her. She just says either or.
Or we could
Yeah.
do something else.
Right.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, either one. Oh.
And then she goes, at one point, when she gives him her address to her home, she goes, come to this address, and then writes an address. Who doesn't say, this is my place, like, come to my house? Like, she says, come to this address, like it's some undisclosed location that they're going to meet at a warehouse. And then she's like, oh yeah, it's 2016. I'm like, oh my god, these people are just so awkward, but, like, they have no reason to be awkward. Like, they're both
I think
too
they're just trying to
attractive
double
and too
down
cool.
on, like, the cute awkwardness vibe that they're going for.
Right,
I'm here for it.
They're just
but-
too cool. Like, I don't buy it.
But here's the thing. I like the, like, chill / lack of chill they have. It's like, it feels realistic, and, like, he's not too cool. Like, but he has some level of confidence about him. Like, he's not an action hero. I think the same thing is true of Miles Morales in Spider-Verse. Like, he has some level of chill, but also, like, he trips on his sneakers a little, or he kind of screws up.
It's because he always leaves them untied, Evan.
Yeah, it's a choice, as he says, it's a choice. But see that choice. I think I actually had another screenwriter friend reference that to me, like the shoelace thing. Apparently, that's a term now, and I think it's referring to that exact shoelace. Like,
That was already
it's
a
a
thing
choice.
before that movie.
It's a personality trait. Like, it shows his personality, but also it's like, it kind of, like, he's not quite comfortable enough in his own shoes yet, literally, to really own it. Like, I think that I don't know if that's exactly what they were going for in Spider-Verse, but I think
I
like
hope not.
the personality of both Miles in that and Gwen and Peter in this, I think I really enjoy that. Just because, like, it makes them feel down to earth, but also it's like, I want to hang out with these people. Like, they're not so
I feel like
cool.
I'd get pissed off if I was third wheeling with them.
I would hate to hang out with them.
I would love third wheeling with them. That would be great.
God damn it, Evan.
The only thing is, I love anytime I can talk about Spider-Verse because it's such a good movie. And I feel like it's great. This is a great thing because he decides not to. He chooses not to, and he's reckless in that nature. He's not responsible yet. But I feel like, I guess you could say that blind confidence is there. Like, it's arrogance. Like, Peter.
I don't think it is blind. I think he's just not. I think he's got confidence, but it's not like coming out his ears. Like, it's a measured confidence.
My thing with the Garfield version is, like, I feel like he's never tripping on his proverbial shoelace. Like, he's cool
tripping
enough.
on all of his words, though.
Yeah, that's
Like, that's
fine. He's
kind
just
of where
illiterate.
it comes up, I think.
And my thing is, like, like, anybody who's comfortable enough in high school to bring a skateboard and skateboard through people like they're Moses parting the Red Sea, and then, like, pick it up and then, like, hold it above their head while a teacher's mocking them, and then mock the teacher and then skateboard again. That's so confident. Like, you don't give a damn what anybody has to say about you. You're just doing your own thing. And I'm just like, is that Peter Parker? Is he that confident? Because he's, like, breaking apart about how his dad abandoned him. Why do we care about his dad? Cut it all out.
I can't make you like it. I really like that about him. I don't know. I vibe with it. I like that it makes him, like, should I compare to Raimi right now? To McGuire? I don't know. Probably not. Yeah, I'm gonna not do that.
See, like, I hate Tobey as Spider-Man. Like, I think Tobey's acting in the Raimi movies is so bad.
All of them are. Well, no.
Yeah, but everyone except Alfred Molina is not half bad.
James Franco's really good. He plays
James Franco is not really good. Hard disagree.
Oh my god.
Spider-Man 2, I have nothing left except Spider-Man.
You've ruined Spider-Man.
No, that's the whole movie. The whole movie is that kind of level of camp. Everything's on 12. But his embodiment of, like, just being an absolute asshat. Like, I could not picture anybody else playing Harry. Like, he dismisses everyone. The way he's just like, who's paying for this? Who's paying for this auto? Who's paying for this auto? Ah. I'm like, that's literally Harry in the comics to a T.
So you're James Franco over Dane DeHaan?
Oh, is that who plays Harry in the next movie?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
without, I forgot that there even was a Harry in these movies.
He's the
Isn't
one
that
that
the
kills.
question of the day?
He's the one that kills Emma.
Yeah, I forgot that they even had the whole Hobgoblin storyline in this because of how much it's botched.
They do just tack it on to the second one like they've been friends forever, even though there was no mention of Harry in this one.
Okay, disagree. We'll get to that when we get to it. I don't think they act like they've been friends for a while. I'll rewatch it and double check. I think they don't ship them as hard as you remember them shipping them.
I just can't believe Jamie Foxx is blue. Like, man.
Well,
Yeah, they
he's
dropped the ball
back to
on that
being
there.
black now in the new one.
Yeah, and now his electricity
he has the electro
yellow
thing. It's so cool. It is so
Yeah.
cool.
I do hope they do him better because, like, yeah, they kind of shit the bed with him in 2.
What are we talking about?
Yeah, we'll get to 2 when we get to 2. We're talking about how dope or not.
Oh,
dope
I was saying
Peter is.
Toby's acting. Toby's acting is like awful, but I bought his like terrible awkwardness as Peter and his nerdiness. Like, he was so punchable. Like, I was like, yeah, Peter Parker has that kind of punchable quality. Like, no one would really want to be friends with Peter Parker. But I wouldn't want to be friends with Andrew Garfield's Peter Parker, but for a different
would.
reason.
I
for a
really
very
want to be
different
friends
reason.
with Garfield Parker.
Like, Garfield's Parker, I feel like is gonna like take me to like an underground rave and like just play like sad emo music, and I'm just like, this isn't the vibe. And then Peter Parker, Toby's Peter is like a complete other like nerd hard vibe where I'm just like, I don't want to like read SAT prep books for fun.
Well, I think part of it is that I've thought about this before. Like, I think the cultural like understanding of what a nerd was changed a lot in the 10 years between the 2 movies. Like, I think it was a much more socially acceptable thing to be into nerdy stuff in 2012.
Yep.
Oh yeah,
I mean, I wasn't really
because of Big Bang
conscious
Theory.
that much in.
Well,
It's definitely
Iron Man
not just because
came
of
out.
Big Bang Theory.
Oh, I'm not saying only, but don't underplay Big Bang Theory's impact. Like, the biggest show on network television for years.
The MCU had also started.
It had. And like 2 months before this, I think, was Avengers. But I think in either case, like, you have a very different vibe around like what being a nerd means. Gwen is definitely not played as a traditional, like, she's valedictorian. She is not played like a totally like nerdy, I only do school and that's my whole personality kind of thing. Like, they make her have a lot more chill than like a stereotypical like book smart high schooler.
If anything, that other girl that was stupidly painting in the gym was that.
Right, she
Yeah,
kind of
like,
looks more the part on that.
I agree, and that's part of the thing where it's like Gwen and Peter are of the same world, but I feel like if you picked out Peter in that movie and Gwen in that movie and put them in a lineup based on their costume design, and you were like, which 2 of these are together, he just doesn't look the part. Like, he looks too disheveled and too unkept and too just like nomad-y. Like, he doesn't look that. Gwen has the bang, she has the pony, she has that clean-cut nerd vibe.
So what are you picturing? Are you picturing Toby's
No,
Peter
like,
Parker
any-
with this Gwen?
No, but
Hard disagree if that's your.
No, but any Peter Parker, like, when you look at Peter in the comics, he has like his collared shirt, he has a sweater over the collared shirt, he has a belt on, he has khakis. Like, he looks like a nerd.
Since when is
looks
a
like
belt nerdy?
No, that whole outfit is nerdy.
Oh.
That's 1950s prep nerd. That's
Okay,
the
this
vibe.
is 2012.
It's not. That's not nerd.
He's not
That's
dressing like a Jehovah's
that's-
Witness.
That's not nerd for 2012. What
What is
2012
Jehovah's
nerd
Witness?
dresses like that?
No, 2012 nerds dress in like probably Thrasher t-shirts, I think. Well, actually, I don't know. Was Thrasher
Oh.
big?
I
back
wore a
then?
lot of hoodies. I still wear it. I have a hoodie on right now.
Do you consider yourself a nerd though?
Yes. What?
Okay, so do I. But I also
I have glasses on.
yeah, but
That's
you don't need
nerdy.
them.
Yeah, no.
Ooh.
Well, they're for screens, and these, yeah, no,
Yeah.
I kind of need them right now.
I have never needed glasses, but I definitely would count myself as a nerd probably throughout my whole life. But I feel like that's just been more socially acceptable now.
No, it is.
People are unashamedly into nerdy stuff.
People don't make fun of nerds anymore either.
No, no, and I don't think they did in 2012. And like, I don't. I mean, I was 3 in '02, so I don't really know where it was at then. But 2012, like, it was cool to like be into
Where was
nerd shit.
2012? I was in 10th grade. The world was supposedly ending.
Oh
It was
yeah,
cool, but Peter Parker isn't cool. Like, that's just not the character.
but okay, that's I can't really argue with that because I haven't read the comics. I don't understand why people are upset that this is just somebody you'd want to hang out with and follow. And I love how active they make him to like sell you on him. Like we understand, like we see who he is outside of just being Spider-Man. Like our introduction to Maguire's Spider-Man. I'll try to make this one of the only comparisons to those movies, but our introduction to Spider-Man, but to Peter before he gets bitten, I just have no reason to want to follow him. He just seems like he's very passive. He doesn't seem like he has any skills. I just have no reason to be invested in him for even like another 3 scenes. I don't want to follow him. This Peter Parker, I would follow him even if he wasn't Spider-Man. He's like, he at least does stuff like outside of school. He has a personality. He stands up for people. Like the moment where he stands up to Flash, I feel like is exactly like that is the moment I was sold on his character. It's like,
Put him down, Eugene.
yeah, Eugene. He's not being aggressive, but he's standing up to him. He doesn't really have the like physical ability to back it up. Like he gets clocked by Flash the next second and he's down for the count. But he does it anyway. Like that is the kind of person who would become Spider-Man if he had the opportunity. Somebody who is going to stand up for strangers. That is who Spider-Man is. Tobey Maguire would never do that.
To add to that, there was a Reddit post I saw, I think it was yesterday, on the r/Spider-Man subreddit that was asking the question, what attracts you? What do you like about Spider-Man? And one of the number one things was the relatability. So,
Yeah.
I can't think of anyone I've met or seen ever in my life that has related to Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man.
Agree.
Really? So more people have like they cling more to this movie than the others?
I wouldn't say that because I've definitely met plenty of people who are into the Raimi movies, but I'm going to agree with Jelani here that like I don't think there's just so little there to relate to. Maguire Parker is just he's kind of a blank slate. He's too much of a blank slate, I think. And maybe they overcompensated with Garfield Parker. I think that's maybe fair to say, but I will take Garfield Parker every single time. And I'm going to add to that and say I will take a protagonist that is approached like this one every time over one that is approached like they approach Maguire. Like that version. I think it's just so much stronger. Outside of the performance, outside of like how much I love Andrew Garfield as an actor, and I'm pretty lukewarm on the whole on Maguire. I haven't really seen him in anything else. Like outside of performance, the way they construct this character, I just find so much more compelling. I know one thing I really want to mention with it. We can keep going with counterpoints, but I remember one thing that really connected me to this character immediately, even when I was 14, was that he takes initiative. Because there was kind of this thing that I had noticed even before seeing this. It wasn't like this unlocked it, but like all the books I read as a kid, or most of them, like Harry Potter, Percy Jackson, Aragon, even Alcatraz Smedley, the 39 Clues books, and like Luke Skywalker and Star Wars, and now the other Skywalker characters too. Like all of them are only special because the universe made them special. And I understand the appeal of that kind of character, but I remember feeling a resistance to that as a kid, as like, it kind of reads like you need the universe to choose you to be like the hero of the story, or like do the kinds of things that they do. And I feel like this character just makes that so much more accessible, that Peter literally gets in the position to become Spider-Man because he does things differently than other people. It is his actions that put him there. He separates himself from the rest of the tour group, and that's what puts him in the room. He doesn't become like, there's chance involved in him becoming Spider-Man, but he's not really special because he gets bitten. He's special because of what he does, and I think that is always more compelling. And I always try to write my characters like that, even if there's like some kind of, I'm not really into writing powered characters. I like, a lot of times I like having characters actually not be like, my protagonists often are not very good fighters, even if, like, if it's an action movie. I think it's more interesting to see them rise above their opponents, not through their physical abilities, like their natural gifts, but like through whatever it is that I'm exploring. I think that's more compelling. Maybe that's just me, but I just enjoy that approach to a protagonist so much more.
Again, I'm always referencing the Cosmonaut videos. I believe it was from that, but I've heard that the reason Stan Lee made this Spider-Man was because he was supposed to be able to be anybody. The spider bite was supposed to be random, so anybody was supposed to be able to be Spider-Man. The comics over time didn't make it seem that way because all of his villains are connected to Peter Parker in some way. I just wanted to point that out. But I get what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like, do you guys... Because I'd be willing to hear counter arguments, because I think it is kind of a personal preference for me that, like, I like characters who are active. I think that's just... I just liked it better. Like, I remember at that stage around when I saw that movie, I was, like, already finding myself drawn more to that idea, because... I mean, I love the Harry Potter series, but I remember reading them and just being like, it just feels like such a disservice to every other character in that universe that, like, Harry is the only one who interesting thing happened to because he's the boy who lived. Like, he's destined by the universe to do this. Like, none of us are going to be that. We're just regular people. So, like, I just think it's a more accessible and more like, for a superhero story, it's a more empowering thing to have your story be about somebody who chooses to set themselves apart and chooses to be a hero.
To reference what we were talking about off podcast, in anime shonen, people tend to relate more to the underdog because of that reason. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily the main character. They try to make the main character the underdog in a lot of shonen, but they end up having some sort of broken godly power at the beginning, and then they learn how to use it over time. That's why I like Jujutsu Kaisen, because that's another thing. But there's this character, Rock Lee, in Naruto that can't use any of what everybody else is using, all of those special powers and jutsu, and looks like they're washing their hands all the time when they do the ninja shit. He is one of the most favorite characters because he became one of their strongest students through training alone. So yeah, this is just another example of what you were saying.
David, did you have a response at all?
To anything specifically? That was a lot.
Yeah, sorry, I kind of went all over the place, but like, this is why I love this character, is that
I can see what you mean, really like accessible. Having him be, have his Charlie in the Chocolate Factory moment where he goes off and instead of floating to the ceiling, he gets bit by the spider. But I don't know what it is. I don't know why I couldn't get into the movie as much as I did when I was younger. I think it sucks because I think it has a lot of potential, like, especially like the dynamic alone between Peter and the Doctor and Gwen, they could have like had so much suspense and tension, especially if they started like developing that stuff more and they showed that more instead of just the scene where like Peter has like figured out the formula and then they go and test it on the rat. I don't know. I I wish it had more in that realm, I guess, that would have made me care more about the characters and the connection, because when everything was like at stake, I didn't really care. The one thing I always will think is cool is how like he uses the tunnels and the webs. He uses like the sonic kind of
that's dope,
that to figure out where he is. And like that was one scene where like I think they undercut it because you start to see the lizards going and they start to build the suspense, and you had already seen him transforming in his other scene, so you know he's going crazy, and you get like 2 seconds of like suspense and then like roar, here comes the lizard with a jump scare and he starts beating Peter's ass. And I'm like, if only we could have had like it's just 2 or 3 more seconds. I would have just loved to sit in that suspense a little longer. But just different things there that I just felt like filmmaking wise, I feel like this could have been more fine-tuned, but there was so much potential, I think.
So what I'm hearing from you is that this isn't the greatest plot to put this character in, which I would agree with. Is that what you're saying?
I think the plot's not that well refined. I think the filmmaking alone isn't that tight. I think the character gets confused. For me, at times, I start to lose him because they split like the science versus the vigilanteism, and then they kind of completely throw away the mystery element of the dad. So like a lot of the character's roots I get lost with.
See, I would argue that's not so much the construction of him as a protagonist. I think that's more just like the plot that they put him in, which I agree has issues. I just don't think it's actually a problem with how the character is constructed. They just kind of picked the wrong stuff to throw at him.
Like if they took Peter, like if they cut out the whole mystery bit and the having to be flooded with the basement to get to the briefcase to get him to Oscorp, and just had him be like the stout Peter who would already have like an internship there with Gwen, and then went in that way, I felt like it would have just been so much more natural, and you could have explored maybe a more interesting dynamic between those three and the suspense within that. But the version I got was like, I just was confused. It felt like it was like kind of contrived beats to get him there, instead of just letting like the character lead there and like him being there for that reason. Like it was like, all right, Peter, you haven't seen your dad in like 15 years, right? Because that's what the flashback just told us. And now you have his briefcase. And now you have this picture in the one briefcase that you just said was empty. But there's one picture that's kind of faded, but you can make out where it is. All right, now go there. All right, now keep going. And I'm like, all right, he's not a bloodhound. Like, can we just make him like a character?
Well, so I'll agree with you that it's not the most like logical sequence of events to get him there. I'll give you that for sure. What I will say is that I think it is a more compelling way of getting him there because we see that he is willing to break rules in that scene. Also, R.I.P. to Rodrigo Guevara in that scene because like he steals the dude's name tag, which I'm not super okay with. But I love that moment where he has to break in to Oscorp. Like he doesn't let that stop him. I just think that's so much more revealing of his character. It makes him more compelling. I will give you that it is like I don't love how they go about the like, yeah, we don't really I do like the beat where Uncle Ben is like, we don't really talk about your dad, and that's maybe we should. I like that beat from a character perspective. Again, I really could have done without the like looking into his father's past thing. We didn't need that.
I was shocked when they showed his parents the first time I saw this. I was like, who are these people?
This is my exact point, and this might be like an editing nitpick, but like, so you get this epic title sequence with the webs and the spiders, and it's the Amazing Spiderman, and then you get to this little quiet moment with the kid and his parents, and you're thinking, okay, what's happening? And he says mom and dad, and then it, cut, and we finally get to the big reveal after this 2-minute sequence, and it's this, oh my god, this is your Aunt May and Uncle Ben. I feel like it would have been so much more of a shock if we started with that, and then after that, we got the title sequence, and then we just continued in the present day. Mm-hmm. The fact that we got the title sequence, like, okay, we got it. This is the Amazing Spider-Man. That means we're getting Aunt May. That means we're getting Uncle Ben. That means we're getting Spider-Man. And it's like, Mom and Dad, what? I thought, and then they're like, oh, there's Aunt May and Uncle Ben, and you're like, what is happening? That was my own 2 cents. For some reason, I thought if they just cut that there and put that there, it would have changed the whole intro vibe for me. Because I was just so, like, jarred.
I'd be here for that. That'd be a good change. Do we think there's anything that could be fixed here? Like, I kind of talked about one of them already with Peter chasing after Chad Kroger. Like, how I would fix that.
I hate that. I don't like the name.
Well, he's kind of a garbage person, apparently. So that's maybe why.
Chad. It's just been memed to death. It's like the name Karen now. Like.
Yeah. What a Chad. Chad Kroger is definitely a Chad, too. Like, he's such a Chad.
Like, Kroger just fits that last name. I mean, that first name so well. I just dislike both names together now.
Yeah, but he just looked like the sunglasses, the hair. Chad.
David, do you know what Chad Kroger in real life looks like? Do you agree? Like, the dude kind of.
I didn't even know he was from Nickelback, but I just
look him up.
He just looks like a Chad. I will
look him up. It looks like he does look like the dude. Somebody tweet at me and back me up here. He does look like Chad Kroger.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You see it, right?
Put some sunglasses on that guy.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Wait, look at this photograph guy?
Yes. Yes, he's the photograph dude from that meme.
You know what I do like about this movie though? Not all criminals are forced to be bad people. He had a gun and he chose a non-lethal way to rob the guy. He pushed over some cigarettes or lottery tickets, whatever it was, and then he took the money. He didn't use a gun until someone tried to take it from him. So that's, criminaling 101.
Also, that entire sequence was stupid. The cashier that he was just a dick to asked
Peter. 2 cents.
Yeah, I used to be a cashier at Family Dollar, and I get it, but when it's a convenience store like that, no, I don't. Because we'd get in trouble if we had under a certain amount at the end of the day, and there were kids in there that would come into Family Dollar and get a $1 thing and give me a single dollar when it came out to 107, and I would get in trouble for that. But that's besides the point. Dude asked the cashier asked Peter to he was like, "Hey, stop that guy that just robbed. Help me stop that guy that just robbed the store." Who in their right mind would help somebody take down a thief? You don't know what he has on him. And then Uncle Ben's dumbass sees dude drop a gun, and he's like, "Hey, is that a gun? I'm gonna try to wrestle you for it, young man."
Right.
And then he gets blasted because of that. So
he's acting in accordance with the theme, though. That's a good thematic
And the
moment.
theme got his dumbass killed.
It's still a good thematic moment.
He's a New Yorker in Queens, and there's a hot weapon on the floor. He should have ran away. A real New Yorker would have been like, "I didn't see it. I'm over here. You have a good day."
Is the game on tonight? I'm like I have a
The
watch.
Jets,
Any excuse. Hey, that's
but
a nice.
He's acting in accordance with the theme.
It's a nice plane in the sky.
Look, I hear what you're saying. Killing Uncle Ben is an obligatory moment, and they make it resonate really hard with.
Also,
the theme,
Andrew Garfield's
and
crying
Peter was acting
face.
against it.
His crying face in that scene where you just see the entire inside of his gum was freaky. Where he had like he was crying and he looks like he's just slobbering, and I'm like, what are you doing here, man? I get it, but I don't need to see the inside of your gums.
It's better than McGuire's cry face.
The one scene though that I'll fight for Toby's acting, because he doesn't act in any of the scenes except for one scene. He acts in one scene, and it's the scene in Spider-Man 2 where he has to tell Aunt May that he killed Uncle Ben.
Oh,
hard agree.
Yeah.
I actually really like that scene from him too. I think that's probably his best scene in the trilogy.
Mm-hmm. I'm like, okay, so you acted one day on this 90-day shoot. Like every other scene, he's just standing there.
I'm just there's like a splash meme page of just all the crying faces throughout the Raimi movies, and I'm just like, he just looks so stupid. Just
Yeah. I feel like it is a little bit regrettable how few memes you can make of this pair of movies compared to the Raimis. But there's also a reason you can make so many of the Raimi ones, which is because they're stupid.
I go to this...
But it leans into it. Like, it's like when he's when he's taking the elevator because it rides up in his crotch, and he's telling the guy, I'm like, this is so camp. Like, I love, like, Spider-Man. Don't give me Spider-Man on a thing, skateboard. Give me him in an elevator, because it's so stupid. Like, it's just taking the piss out of itself.
Every time I go to Raimi memes, I spend a lot of time on Reddit, if that's not obvious. And
or the Green Goblin in drag. Like, the Green Goblin does drag. There's a burning building and he dresses up like a woman. Like, come on now.
Are you in or are you out?
It's you who's out, Gabby. Out of your mind.
Oh!
That's so good. Cinema.
The building wasn't the only thing on fire in that scene. Every time I go to the Raimi memes subreddit, you can, whenever you go to the comment section, there's nothing but quotes from that movie. Every quote to that movie, even the top comments, every response to the comments in those posts is just another quote from the movie that's in response to the movies are. I'll give the movies that I think it's because they've been watched so many.
That's because the
times.
dialogue is so freaking stupid in
that too.
It's so timeless.
Day by day, he gazed upon her.
My favorite part is
reading poetry.
Spider-Man 2. There's a whole, like, they spend like 5 minutes with him just like watching her take out the trash and like him struggling to talk. And then he's like, you moved back home, huh? And she's like, and they have this moment and it keeps zooming in on like, will they, won't they on their lips and like they're about to kiss.
You tonight. Oh,
and then,
boy, yeah.
And then after you're like, oh my god,
married,
they're gonna
Peter.
kiss. That's what happens. She walks away and goes, oh, by the way, I'm getting married. It's so funny.
What the hell?
It's the biggest slap in the face to Peter. I'm like, yeah, you're out of it's so funny.
Zero says, David, you gotta go listen to our 3 episodes. It will take you a long time. But I want to hear your response to that. Maybe not like in these episodes necessarily, but I want to hear you like add on to them because we had so many thoughts on all of this like a year ago when we recorded.
My
that.
son, the astronaut.
It's so
Deliciousness, the delicious John.
The delicious. Who refers to anybody else as delicious? Who has ever done that? I'm sorry.
That's some girl's name, I think, in Housewife.
Oh, okay.
Is it an actual name?
I don't know. She goes by Delicious, I think.
Wait, is it like one of the Real Housewives of wherever?
Yeah, it's some show like that. Or like some VH1 show. Because my friend went to Cancun and he loves those shows. And he did a thing where he pretended to be on a reality show with his family in Cancun for a week. And he gave them all names. And she was delicious. No, it was from, do you guys remember the old Flavor Flav show, Flavor of Love?
No, but I've heard of Flavor Flav.
She was one of the contestants. Because Tiffany New York Pollard, that was my friend, like dragged Delicious. She was like, you're ugly. He ain't never gonna pick you. That's a whole thing.
So Delicious wasn't their given name.
I mean, I don't know. I don't want a dead name Delicious, so Delicious is Delicious.
Okay, but like their parents didn't name them Delicious. Is just
allegedly.
Okay, it's just that would be a very weird thing to name your child at birth. Is what I would say.
Elon Musk.
Okay, Elon Musk kind of one-upped that, I guess. I don't even know how to pronounce that.
Brilliant but lazy.
Brilliant but lazy.
I've just been thinking of quotes the whole time. I'm sorry.
There are 8 billion in the city.
Here's the
Think of what we could create or destroy together. First, we attack his heart.
I love the Green Goblin, yo.
You gotta go listen to those on Patreon. I'll give you the link or something. Because we
Hearing his
had way too
voice.
much fun with those.
In the trailer, he drags out everything. Like that one word, he holds that shit for like 7 seconds. He's like, "You want to have everything you want."
You know how much I've sacrificed?
I love that.
That was my favorite scene.
He's so
I
good.
started this company.
You can't do this to me. And J.K. Simmons.
Oh,
Yeah,
every-
that's one note I
every-
have. There's no J. Jonah Jameson.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think that would be out of step for these movies, but yeah. J.K. Simmons did crush that performance.
I think I like J.K. Simmons so much in that role. It didn't register with me for the longest time that J. Jonah Jameson just actually hates Spider-Man.
Oh, he hates him.
Yeah. For some reason, as much shit as he talked about that Spider-Man in those 3 movies, it never registered until years later. I was like,
Because
wait.
you just were having so much fun.
Yeah, exactly.
J.K. Simmons.
I think it was when I started playing the PS4 Spider-Man. I was like, wait, why is he such an asshole? And then I was like, wait, he's always been an asshole to Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I was like, what? Wow.
He's a
Yeah,
menace.
there's one moment in Spider-Man 2 where like the town or the city is going terribly, so even J. Jonah Jameson's like,
Yeah.
"Please, Spider-Man." But then the minute he comes back, he's like, "Oh, I hate you."
Oh yeah, he
Or
was like,
sleep.
he,
You're like a
he,
arachnid prosecutor.
he was a hero. We just couldn't see it. And then he turns around and the suit's gone.
Yeah.
He's a menace.
Yeah, he's a menace. I love that part.
What were we
The
talking
Amazing
about?
Spider-Man, though.
Oh yeah.
Plot holes. So how do we think, like, there were a couple of main plot threads that they dropped. There's Uncle Ben's killer, which I kind of gave a solution that I think could have worked for that plot thread. The looking for his dad plot thread gets dropped off pretty hard. They also have a little bit, I don't know if this is like counts as a full plot thread, but there's like a couple mentions of Norman Osborn dying. Like he's like ill, and they bring that back in the second one a little bit, but we never see him.
I wouldn't consider that a dropped plot thread because they're doing that in the MCU with Flash. You notice how I think it was in both movies. There's mention of his parents, and then in No Way Home, I think it was on the bus when Peter has the glasses on and he's looking at everybody and he sees Flash's text message. He's asking Father, "Has there been any word from Mother?" And there's no response, of course. But they're building something there as well, so I wouldn't consider that dropped.
Okay. Well, they do mention him a couple times. I actually noticed, like, it I can't believe it didn't stand out to me before, but I think when Peter's first going into the Oscorp building, they show, like, a thing on, like, Norman Osborn, and his face is just, like, blacked out in a silhouette, like he's, like, a murder victim or something. It looks really weird. It's, like, a split-second shot, but I'd never caught it before. But there's, like, the
Why
couple
would they
mentions.
logically in that universe? Why would anybody ever do that of their CEO? Hey, here's our CEO, but we're not going to show his face.
They
Right.
haven't casted him yet. They're like,
Yeah.
He's he's a locked character.
He's a locked character, yeah. Well, they have Chris Cooper play him for the one scene in the second one, but I think he's not even credited for some reason.
Would you want to be credited for the Amazing Spider-Man 2, Evan?
I mean,
Don't
IMDb credits.
don't answer that.
Chris Cooper doesn't need that, though, at this point in his career. But anyway, like, I thought it was weird. Because they mention it a couple times, and they have it be, like, a justification for the research.
I'm just pissed off we never found out who that mystery guy was, who was setting up the Sinister Six, because he was in this movie, too, at the end.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think they were clearly setting up for a reveal, expecting there to be a third. I think this movie, and especially the second, do suffer from... there felt like such an assumption that they would get more movies.
Too much sequel bait.
Yeah, too much
Yeah.
sequel bait.
especially the second one.
Yeah. With the Sinister Six and the arms and the glider and all that stuff at the end.
And the stuff with the dad, definitely, like, obviously they build on that a little bit in 2, but I think that also was something they clearly were setting up for it, but I wonder if they knew where they wanted to go, because he gets dropped off so hard in this, and I don't have a solution that I can think of for that aside from just dropping it, but I want to hear from you guys. Do you think there's a way they could have worked that plot thread in better?
I didn't want them to.
I don't
dad?
either. So like maybe the solution is just get rid of it. But do we think there's a way they could have made it work?
Let's not
dad
waste
plot
brain power
line?
on that. Go ahead, if you want to. I'm gonna just.
No, like it literally adds nothing. It just takes away from the story. So just cut it out.
I agree. I don't know if there's a way to. There might be a way to incorporate it well, but maybe this just wasn't the movie to do it in. Like clearly they had some kind of plan, but also maybe they didn't really. They just kind of were like, "Hey, this is an idea," and then did it. I don't know. What do we think about? Because this is another. This isn't like a plot thread, but we mentioned this as a weakness before. How could we improve the Lizard as a villain? I think one thing is not have the split personality thing that every one of the Spider-Man villains across this and the Raimi trilogy have. I don't know why they keep doing that, but like, how else could we have fixed the Lizard?
It's hard because I thought about this too, and I'm like, okay, I'd like when you meet him, he kind of gives. I didn't notice this as a kid because 13-year-old me didn't know what eugenics meant, but when he kind of talks about having like no flaws and no illnesses and no weaknesses, I'm like, all right, we're getting a eugenics vibe. Okay, so we're not all there.
Yeah.
But do I want him to get so into his work that his work destroys him? Because that's what we see with Doc Ock. So, like, do we want... Because then it's going to be, like, you're repeating Defoe with the talking to yourself schizophrenia, or you repeat Doc Ock. So I'm trying to think of another way that could show it. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that's just because we get so little from him as a person. Like, he doesn't have much of a character to me outside of being, like, Gwen's job. Like, at all.
Gwen's boss, yeah.
I think
Yeah.
the best way to avoid it is just to not to do another scientist villain off the bat. Just don't pick the Lizard. He has an entire a plethora of villains to choose from. Craven, that might have been cool to see.
Craven. Could have did a female villain.
Shocker. You said a female villain?
I'm blanking on her name, the cat lady.
Oh,
yeah,
Black
the
Cat.
one that was in the video
Black Cat.
game.
Yeah.
Any of the A-listers. I'm blanking on most of them because a lot of them are already used by this point. Well, Vulture wasn't used, but nobody wants to see an old dude.
No one wants to see that.
Jelani, do you think there's a way we could have, like, salvaged... I hear you, maybe, like, a scientist villain is not the way to go, but, like, just let's say we have to stick with the Lizard as the villain. Do you think there's a way to fix it? Or at least improve it?
Definitely don't make him crazy. I'm trying to pull from my villains what I do with them. Because I know he thinks he was doing the right thing, but clearly the right thing was insane by every definition of that word. So maybe make his goal a little more realistic and relatable.
Yeah, maybe don't have him, like, try to infect the whole city. Maybe make it just about him trying to get his arm back. I feel like that's a much more grounded motivation.
Yeah, I also think it avoids, because a lot of the critiques I remember from, like, those YouTube content creators of the time was, like, they were getting annoyed that a lot of the big budget action movies fell into, like, a third act cliche where, like, everything from the first two acts got thrown out the window and now the heroes have to stop the city from blowing up and there's, like, a giant light.
The sky beam trope.
And, like, I feel like this was that. And I feel like that, again, comes from, like, the lack of foundation they have with him as a villain. Like, like you said, Jelani, Spider-Man, even though it was written with the intention that it could be anyone, Peter's villains become so personal that that's usually a lot of the threat. And this villain is the exact opposite. Even when... I think it's insulting because you have such a clear way to go in with Gwen to make it personal.
Yeah.
And it's just, you're like,
Right, because we never feel any... Because, like, Captain Stacy mentions that, like, they've worked together. Dr. Connors wrote her letter of recommendation for, like, college apps or whatever. They never have a scene together except for when the Lizard, like, jump scares her between the blinds of that door or whatever. Like, as a human never interacts with Gwen Stacy outside of the tour.
The tour. I was gonna say the tour, but they also could have just not been. I don't know if they were in the same.
Like,
room.
we don't feel any of that relationship
Yeah.
in that scene.
Yeah, because the guy even said when he read the letter of recommendation, he cried. Like, you made a police chief cry. This guy's traumatized daily in New York. So this must be some genuine bond they have, and you don't feel it at all.
And it's at Oscorp. There could have been so much.
So much. Everything at the comics happens at Oscorp. Oscorp is the scapegoat.
Yeah. It's their big, bad corporation that they go to for a lot of things. Roxxon is another. Yeah, I'm not going to list things because I wasn't paid for that. So let the next writers come up with something. It could have been so much more.
They definitely could have saved it.
It could have been close-knit. Like, it didn't have to be about saving the city in this one, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, Spider-Man 1 didn't do that. And again, not a movie that I think is great, but I don't think it's bad because the city is not at stake. We end that movie with just Peter fighting Green Goblin. We could have just done that here.
And I heard somewhere, like, once you start off with, like, the first movie being about saving the city, you have to escalate from there.
Yeah, where do you go?
Yeah.
Right. Because you can't just go back to, hey, this is a slice of life now. Oh, I just got to save Gwen and that's it. Like, in the sequel, like, no, it's a blockbuster movie. They're going to expect you to keep going up with that. So
well, but I also don't know that, like, that's not the only kind of story. Like, saving the city isn't the only thing Spider-Man needs to do, and you could make it like more relatable stakes. Like I'm going to take an example from that was the people on the Beyond the Screenplay podcast mentioned with The Dark Knight. They really love how the climax of that movie has a really small amount of people whose lives are being threatened. It's like two ferry boats. So like the entire city is not at stake. So the stakes feel more real because those two, like everyone on those two ferries could die and it wouldn't affect the like continuity of the series. Like that could happen. The Joker's plan could go through and it wouldn't actually like destroy the series.
But it's about Batman saving those people.
Right. So like they were pointing out how like actually lowering the stakes is a better move, and I think this movie could have learned from that because and even like take Spider-Man 1, what are the stakes in that climax? It's
Let die the woman you love or suffer the little children.
Like in the cab full of people. That's a pretty contained stakes. It's still a lot of people that Spider-Man has to save, but it's not the entire city. If they had died, then that's tragic, but it doesn't really affect like where the series can go from there. So I think we could have done that. Like take the bridge scene. I think the bridge scene is really good in terms of like scale with that because there's a lot of people on that bridge being threatened. Spider-Man is saving a lot of people in that scene. He's saving individuals in the cars. He like tethers all those cars to the bridge. But if the Lizard was victorious in that scene and a bunch of people died, that doesn't mean the end of anything. That scene, like even I remember this time around I was watching that scene where the kid's in the like when he saves the kid in the car. I was like, they kind of play this like that kid really might die with the slow-mo and the fire and the score. Like I kind of like, even though I knew how the scene was ending, I was like, they're really building the tension well here. I do not feel like there is plot armor around this kid.
I love when the kid started climbing in slow motion and Garfield just interrupts. He's like, a little faster, kid.
Yeah, a little faster. Yeah, well, it's a great moment though. Like I think they actually used that scene as a like in isolation as a trailer. Like that was one of the promotional materials. I think. I didn't see it at the time it was airing, but I think that was one of their trailers. Basically, was just that scene, and it's a great scene to use for it. Like it's such great tension, really high stakes. Like nobody wants to see a kid die. But if that kid died, that's a tragedy, but it doesn't affect the trajectory of the rest of the movie.
What is it with Spider-Man and bridges? Is it because there's so many bridges that go into New York? But I'm thinking
Probably
now of every Spider-Man like media, like movies and games. There was always a bridge scene in the the newest one, the Miles Morales game. There's a bridge scene.
Yeah. Well, that's the OG comic scene with Gwen.
That too.
Yeah, that's how it's not. This in the Amazing Spider-Man. Is it the elevator shaft they do it
It's
in?
a
Clock
clock
tower.
tower.
Clock tower. Yeah, in the comic, it's the bridge. She takes her. I think it's the Brooklyn Bridge that the Hobgoblin takes her to, and he's just like, yeet.
In the trailer of No Way Home. You guys have seen the trailer, right?
Oh yeah.
Doc Ock, they're on a bridge.
Yep.
It's another freaking bridge. What?
God.
They're kind of cool cinematic spaces. There's a lot of good bridge scenes just in other movies. Rise of the Planet of the Apes has a good one on the Golden Gate. I think
That's a great
X-Men:
one.
The Last Stand has one. I haven't seen all that movie.
Where he
but I've seen
moves
that
the
scene.
bridge? Yep.
Yeah.
I just thought of
Some
Final
other ones.
Destination.
Mission Impossible 3 has a decent bridge action scene.
Final Destination.
Yeah.
Full
Dark Knight
House.
Rises does a lot with bridges.
What did you say, David?
I said Full House. The intro in Full House, they drive out the Golden Gate.
Very tense, that intro, I guess. I've never seen it.
It's made it to a lot of episodes.
A lot of episodes. Ooh, how's the intro going to end this time? Sorry. Spider-Man and bridges, though. Do we have more we want to talk about with the dropped plot threads or, like, structure issues?
I think the only thing that you said that really sparked, like, a big point is, like, it's just the character inconsistencies. Like, with the Joker decision, like, it's a smart decision, like you say, because you get to bring down the stakes, but at the same time, on a practical level, but on a character level, you get to elevate them because you're going to get the time with these characters on the ship and the suspense builds that way. And it's consistent to the Joker's, like, goal the entire movie. Like, he wants to prove that the city is only as good as its worst people, and he wants chaos throughout. And I don't feel that consistent goal with this villain. Like, it's like a hot switch.
Yeah, where
like,
all of a sudden now he has, like,
he has to go to
global
the machine
plans. He's like,
and
everyone
make
needs
everything
to be
melt.
like this.
Yeah.
It comes out of nowhere. Which
And
is
it's
why I think it
crazy.
would have been stronger for him to just be... Because, like, him wanting to get his arm back is a very relatable motivation.
That's the
Very
thing. You know what's
grounded.
crazy? If you make this movie around the Lizard's POV, it's a very enticing movie. Like, he has a terrible, like, Walter White-like character arc if they actually gave him that time to have that arc. Because it's just 0 to 100. But in the
And you can
beginning,
see it
he's
being
like...
corruptible, too. Like,
Oh,
I think
yeah,
that would be
'cause he
fine. If he
mentions
takes
it.
it too far, but you don't need him to take it, like, into other people need to become like me.
Oh yeah, because he even says like, this is a great machine that could cure polio in like 2 hours, but you know, people would use it for like genocide and whatnot, so we can't use it. And then you see him wanting to use it in the end, but they just cut to this, and I'm like, where we had 2 hours and 15 minutes where you could have showed me this whole evolution,
Also,
but I didn't get it.
what is it with Oscorp and cutting people's funding and programs?
Right?
Yeah. Well, it's just a convenient plot motivation that they lean on a lot in these movies.
Did that happen with not Homecoming too?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, we know you guys do this job. We're cutting you loose. All right, I'm a villain now.
Getting fired sucks.
I guess getting fired is enough to make you go to jail. Yeah, sure.
Well, I think it makes sense as a motivation, but like find something else also.
It'd be
Like,
funny though. Like, what if you're fired from like a seasonal rapping job, where your Macy's like, we laid you off, and now you just like rap the city, and everyone's celebrating.
You wanted me to be the rapper, but now you will be the rapped.
You know.
Maybe one day I will be the president.
Oh.
Roll tables have turned.
The only thing he could do was just mildly inconvenience the city, just wrapping it up. Like, oh, this is a lot of paper to take down.
Oh.
Right.
The rapper.
Mr. Beast is gonna have to put up more trees.
That sounds like a parody of this movie, like as the villain. Like
I
that
feel
would
like
be.
I feel like that's like an E-list Spider-Man villain already.
I wouldn't be surprised. He has so
Like,
many
have
villains.
you guys
That'd be
heard
like
of-
that'd be like the pig Spider-Man villain.
Oh yeah, have you heard
Spider
of
Pig.
Big Wheel? That's a
Big-
that's a D-list Spider. That's a real D-list Spider-Man villain. He's a guy that's in a wheel.
Nice.
Just a wheel?
Look it up.
Like not a
I encourage
not a
you to
car.
What's his
not
name
a
again?
Monster truck.
Big
Just
wheel.
Big wheel?
Yep.
Big wheel.
I mean, I get
It sounds like a freaking like picture book you read to
That's
your
like if
5-year-old.
the villain's like the Pope in his Pope mobile, and he's just mowing you down.
It's
Big wheel. Oof. That's
And it's not a hamster. It's crazy.
no, it's a guy.
No. Oh, he's little arms too.
He's a wheel.
He's got little claw arms.
He's a big wheel.
wow.
Okay,
It's
so he was
canon.
first appeared in 1978.
Weren't they doing like hard drugs back then?
Well, yeah.
I mean, depends on who they is.
All of them, everybody.
Everybody.
The populace.
Humans. Everybody was consuming drugs.
Edition 183. So they were running out of ideas.
Clearly, he could have replaced Lizard. To be honest, Big Wheel. I'd love to see his motivation.
Yeah, I would have watched that.
I don't know if I.
Or Rocket Racer. Rocket Racer's another person, apparently.
Yep. They would have to rename this the Mediocre Spider-Man if they were the villains, but
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, why don't we do Shocker? Shocker would have been great.
I don't know enough about his origins. Like, every time I see him, he's doing something different. And I'm like, dude, why are you always just the henchman to somebody? What do you
Yeah,
do?
he is. He's always a henchman. He's just like a safe cracker that every, like, kingpin pimps him out.
Like, what do you do? Kingpin would have been... I feel like Kingpin would have been a better, like, sequel or third movie. Because what they did with Kingpin in Daredevil Season 3 just freaked me the F out. Because I was paranoid with everybody that came on screen. Because I was just like, is Kingpin in their pocket too? Turns out they were. You guys gotta watch Daredevil. Did you watch?
I do. I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, okay. Because I don't like Season 1 or 2, to be honest. I know.
Really? I heard it was good.
I'm probably alone with that. But I really dislike Season 2 because I did not like Elektra. I don't like Elektra as a character. Just in general. She's just Daredevil's love interest, but a ninja. As much as I like comic books, I wouldn't consider him one of my favorites. I like Miles Morales because he's just a black Spider-Man, but like just Spider-Man, there's other heroes I like more.
I think he's my favorite superhero, actually, aside from maybe Magneto. But
He's like-
I also have less to draw from than you, Jelani, so maybe that's why.
I'm pretty sure Batman is the only one above Spider-Man as far as popularity goes. As far as people's favorites.
Batman's my favorite.
There it is.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh. So,
See, I'm because
we're setting up a rivalry for when we talk about the Dark Knight trilogy. I see.
Oof.
Because I despise Batman, David.
Yeah, I know. You've said it a few. You like Superman, which is why like we're on the complete polar opposites of like the superhero spectrum. Like I love that Batman doesn't have powers, and you hate that he doesn't have powers.
And Chris Nolan loves that Batman doesn't have powers, so I'm so...
And you love Chris Nolan, so...
And that's the truth. Gay rights.
But the Dark Knight trilogy is actually on the lower end of my Nolan rankings, so...
That's
I still
good.
like
At least you're not biased.
Well, when all of your Nolan rankings are number one, Evan, is it really fair?
It's
They're
fair.
not that high. Batman Begins, I think, is actually my second least favorite Nolan movie. The only
What's
one
your first
below
least
it is
favorite?
Insomnia, but I barely even count that as a Nolan because he didn't write it. Yeah,
Did his brother write it or nobody?
No, it was a completely separate. He just came on to direct, so I don't even know if I consider that a true Nolan.
I feel like for your top 10 list, you just have number 3, number 2, and then number 1 is like a bracket, and it's just all Nolan movies.
No,
Like,
Yeah.
no, I think there's probably 3 Nolans in my top 10. It's Inception, obviously, and then probably Memento and The Prestige would
I've
be
seen
in my
none of
top
them.
10. You've seen none of those.
Me
Yeah,
neither.
I've seen none of them.
Me neither.
Neither of you have seen Inception?
Nope.
Oh, no, I saw Inception. Okay.
I've only seen of Nolan's Dunkirk, the trilogy, and then Interstellar.
I haven't seen the others.
Well, that is going to change probably very slowly because I want to space out the Nolans, but we are going to do all of them except Insomnia probably, including Following, which he made for $6,000 and is only on YouTube.
Oh, nice.
Isn't that
yeah.
the STD demon? No, that's It Follows.
Oh, that's It Follows, yeah.
Yeah, definitely not that. I have heard of that movie, but no.
That movie's crazy, yo. It's like surrealistic STD demons. They have sex and they start seeing things.
I've heard of it. I did not know that was the premise.
I had to watch it for my the horror movie class in Drexel. It was.
I don't get why it blew up. People thought it like changed horror, and I'm like, bruh.
No, the only spooky scene was the tall dude when she had her back to
in the bedroom,
the black hallway, and he just out of nowhere. That was freaky. But other than that, that's just because the dude was freakishly tall and thin, and he had black eyes. Like that's creepy in any situation. If I saw an NBA player like that, I'd be freaked out.
That'd be terrifying.
Yeah.
I had a couple of other random notes I just wanted to shout out before the end. Shout out to James Horner. Like, we'll talk about Hans in the next one because Jelani and I both love that score, but James Horner really nailed this score. I think he crushed it.
I don't remember a single song from this movie.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's not my favorite score to listen to in isolation, but like mainly the crane scene, like the score in that crane scene.
Okay, so maybe that's, I didn't notice the music was playing, but I had felt something in that moment and I was wondering why. And I'm normally thinking this is the music that's doing it to me, but in that scene I didn't notice. So I guess it did a good job.
I think it's both. Like, that scene is constructed really well. Like, especially, like, I think the Raimi trilogy wishes it had that scene. Because they tried doing the, like, rally the city around Spider-Man, and it
the New York in one.
Yeah. But I'm sure not everyone is into the crane scene in this, but I think it actually works really well as, like, Spider-Man inspiring the city to, like, get him there. I like it, and James Horner's score there, I think, is at its peak.
Cranes is another thing
excellent.
Prevalent in Spider-Man stuff.
You gotta give him something to swing on.
Yeah, aside from the building.
Yeah, but there's always like a crane falling, or it knocks something down.
Yeah, there's the one in
Spider-Man
3.
The one in PS4. Spider-Man PS4 where he webs it up, and no, that was the helicopter, but it caused that.
Oh yeah, I vaguely remember that part.
That was so cool. He just landed on top of the helicopter and went up.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That crane scene is pretty dope, though. I think that might be one of the best in the movie. Anyway, do you guys have any closing thoughts?
Funnily, the last note I have is the score, quote unquote, score doesn't hold a flame to Danny Elfman's.
Disagree.
So we just have polar opposite viewing experiences. But yeah, the whole time I was sitting here like, I don't really like the score. I love Danny Elfman's score. I love Danny Elfman as a composer. He's my second favorite.
Wait,
composer.
Danny Elfman in what? With what?
He did the Raimi trilogy.
He scored the Raimi trilogy.
I remember those more. I remember that. Dude, that's probably.
He also did like a lot of Tim Burton movies, like Beetlejuice.
89.
Yeah.
He did 1989.
Yeah. He did Batman.
He did that Batman, yeah. And he did Nightmare Before Christmas, I think, as well. He was heavily involved in that music.
And now he's going to be doing the Doctor Strange score, which is also getting directed by Sam Raimi, so they're working together again.
Can't wait.
I hope somebody else wrote the script.
Well, Raimi never wrote the scripts for the original trilogy, I think. He brought in other people.
Well, I hope he didn't have a hand in writing it.
He started in horror,
he's
though.
Credited.
I don't think he's credited either. He is credited, though, for writing The Evil Dead, and so, you know, that's a horror. It's pretty famous horror movie. There's two of them, and they're very campy, very, like, 80s horror. So a lot of reports are coming out that the new Doctor Strange is trying to be a horror movie, so I'm curious to see what that's going to look like with him, since he started in horror.
Oh, wait. Oh, God. Okay, these MCU movies are messing with my mind. I was thinking that I already seen that trailer, and I'm thinking, wait, that didn't look like a horror movie. That was the No Way Home trailer.
Yeah.
I'm like, Doctor Strange is in that too, so I'm combining the two, and I'm like, wait.
That's the thing, like, the MCU movies lose their impact when they have to, like, force them all together. Like, all of my favorite Shang-Chi moments were, like, when it wasn't in the MCU.
I realized, like, when I was 3/4 of the way through the movie, I was like, wait, this is an MCU movie. Oh my god, what? And then at the end, of course. Also, don't watch Venom 2. You just watch the end credits scene. Please, God, oh my god, I was so bored through that. that was the longest hour. It was only an hour and a half, and that was the longest hour and a half of my life. I would have rather just sat and stared at a wall instead. Oh, I hated that movie.
I mean, I had no interest anyway.
Good.
So
Don't.
I still haven't seen the first one.
The first one, I think it was better. I'm hearing people say the second one, they're comparable. You're pretty much you're gonna get exactly what you got in the first one. No, I enjoyed the first one. The second one was.
Did Eminem do another song for it?
He did.
Oh, he did?
With Skylar Grey. I'm Coming Home.
Skylar Grey.
Singer. I don't know what else she's done. I only know the Coming Home.
He collabs with her on like every album.
Does he?
Yeah, he really likes doing stuff with Skylar Grey.
What other songs have they done?
I'm the worst with music titles. And
All right, our next episode, of course, is going to be the Amazing Spider-Man 2, and then we're going to do Back to the Future. Check out our YouTube channel. We have our Patreon with our rants about the Raimi Spider-Man trilogy. That's available for $1 a month. We also have our new episode out on our early writing experiences, and there's a couple other ones in there as well. You can buy our merchandise on Zazzle. Our logo's by Kelsey Hendry. I'm on Twitter at ev_Wes.
I'm on Twitter at Jelani T. Kelly. Wait, no, I'm based _Phoenix now on Twitter. Instagram, base Phoenix, one word. I'm not really doing anything else right now. Read my story on Scumbahub, The Villain Wins. I post weekly on that. Also base Phoenix as a user of that. And I'm working on my shonen, so that's coming soon. And book 2 of December.
yeah, I'm nowhere. Don't find me. Omicron's in the U.S. Don't get your vaccine. Get your booster. Instagram at the Clock Tower. Gwen Stacy dies in. Let's get into it. Amazing Spider-Man 2. Can't wait. Woo woo.
I'm a little nervous because I loved it, but I also haven't seen it in a while. It might not hold up. I think I'm still going to enjoy parts of it at least. I'll still enjoy the Garfield and all of his awkward amazingness.
You really just said at the Clock Tower.
Yeah.
Bring it back again for the second one, please.
I will.
I kind of hate it, but also like
Is that all one word?
too good.
Yeah.
At
Underscore.
Clock Tower Gwen Stacy died in. .com.
Oh my god.
All right. See you guys next time.